But let's talk about City 3-1. And like I said, chat, anything that has to do with greatest strikers in Premier League history, make sure that Erling Haaland's name is in that conversation and make sure it ranks extremely highly. This guy, right, in terms of all-around goal-scoring demon, is the best I believe that the Premier League has ever seen. That's my honest opinion here. I think this is the best goal scorer the Premier League has ever seen. Now, he doesn't have the record, obviously, because there's been guys that have played 15, 20 years in this league. But there's no doubt in my mind that if Erling Haaland spends the majority of his career in the Premier League, he will break that record. It's a matter of when, not if. I'm that convinced that it's going to happen. It won't be a matter of if he does it. It'll be a matter of when he does it. Alan Shearer, Harry Kane, Wayne Rooney, Andy Cole, Thierry Henry, Sergio Aguero. All of these guys should be shaking in their boots and worrying about when, not if, but when their record will be surpassed by Erling Haaland. He's that great in front of goal, guys. And I'm sorry, man. It's the fear that he strikes in opposition the way he's doing it as well, too. Honestly, right? He is so inevitable at times. I look at that third goal today, right? First of all, I think Mateus Nunes played an incredible pass. I think his cameo was actually pretty solid. But that pass that he plays in is great. But the run, it got checked for VAR. But seriously, chat, show of hands here. Did anybody truly believe in their heart of hearts that he was offside? I think there was this crazy statistic last season that, was he offside 1 or 2 times all season in the Premier League? Did anyone really believe that for a second Haaland was offside there? And even look at it. It's like by a hair. He's onside. But that's not by coincidence. That's not by luck. The way he times that run, the efficiency, the ruthlessness, and the word I'm going to start bringing up for Haaland, the mercilessness in which he makes that run. Defenders have no chance. They have no chance. And then in front of goal, when you're that lethal, what can you do, bro? What can you do? Excuse me, he was offside 15 times all season. 15 times all year. That's ridiculous, bro. That's ridiculous. For me, the word this year is merciless. That's the way I'm describing Erling Haaland. Obviously, we know what he did in the first season. Treble winning, 50 plus goals in all competitions. Last season, even injured, even half crocked at times, still won the Golden Boot. But this year, Erling Haaland looks like he's on a mission. He looks fit, he looks sharp, and more importantly than anything, he looks hungry. I'm even looking at him in the first half. The way he's chasing down Mikel Antonio all the way into his own half to force a throw-in. Pep spoke about how it'll be hard for his City team to be motivated to win the Premier League a 5th time in a row. Never been done before. They were looking to break their own record. He said it's going to be very difficult for us to be motivated to win that. Maybe at the end of the season we can find motivation, but right now, no motivation. Well, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Erling Haaland right now. How dead focused he looks. How hungry he looks to not even just score goals, to win every tackle, to win every throw-in, to win every blade of grass. And that's echoed around the entire Man City team. I have to be real here, chat. I don't believe Pep when he says there's no motivation. I don't believe him. Because this City team, and especially headlined by Erling Haaland, they suggest otherwise, man. 7 goals in 3 games. I think that's never been done before. I think the record was probably held by him in his first season. 7 goals in 3 games. Back-to-back hat-tricks in the opening 3 games. And there's no sign of him stopping. Again, have there been more versatile goal scorers in the Premier League? Absolutely. Cam obviously spoke about on his Inside Scoop episode who is the most versatile finisher in Prem history. And Haaland probably was not on anybody's list, right? You have guys like Rooney, Suarez, Drogba, Van Persie, Henry, in terms of versatility of finishing. But in terms of ruthlessness in front of net, none of these guys, as far as I'm concerned, can chat to Erling Haaland, in the Premier League at least. None of them. The guy's a freak, man. The guy's a freak. And not only does he look better, I said it last time and I'll say it again. City look better. City look hungrier. City look stronger. This was a game they played without either of their 2 recruits. Savio came off the bench. Gundogan came off the bench. Actually, I don't even know. Did Savio come off the bench today? I don't know if he did actually, chat. Sorry, Gundogan came off the bench. Still incredible. I don't see who beats them this year, chat. I'll be very, very honest with you guys. I don't see who beats them this year. We can talk about Arsenal, and I think they're going to go far again. I think they'll push City far. But when I look at the business that both these teams have done and the starting point that they both started the window at, I think City have done more when the other competition, the rest of the chasing pack, were the ones that were the ones that were supposed to bridge the gap between them. That for me is crazy. This is a City team as well too, chat, without their 2 best players from last season at the moment. You got Phil Foden, last year's player of the year, has basically been either injured or eased into proceedings. He's played sparing minutes this year. Rodri, a favorite for the Ballon d'Or this year. Pep is basically keeping him in ice. He's keeping him in the chamber. You return when you're ready. We know the workload that you had on your shoulders last season. This year, we got you, bro. We got you. Take your time and come back when you're ready. So this is a team without their 2 best players from last season because De Bruyne missed half the year and Erling Haaland was in and out of the team. And when he was there, Let's be real. He was really feeling a heavy injury. So they're missing their two best players from last year, and they've started the season like it's no issue whatsoever. Come on, man. Who's beating these guys, bro? Who's beating these guys? Shout out to West Ham, though. I think West Ham gave City a real go, especially in the second half. The first half, I'll be real. I think Pep completely outclassed Lopetegui. I think the first half, genuinely, guys, it could have been 3 or 4. But I think in the second half, Lopetegui, he tweaked something, right? Kind of switched it to like a back 5 and had Kudus and Antonio basically playing on the last line, Paqueta feeding them in behind. And I think the West Ham in the second half were much, much improved. And they had a few times, let's be real, where they had City on ropes at times. Let's call it what it is. And at the heart of that was Mohamed Kudus. Oh, man. This guy's a superstar, guys. I'm sorry. If you can't see it, you got to get a new set of eyes. This guy is a footballing superstar. In my opinion, this is a player worth upwards of 80 to 90 million pounds. The brilliance that this guy shows in terms of carrying the ball with intent, with speed, with trickery, creativity, how direct he plays, and how difficult he is to stop when he kind of gets a run on. Kudus is so good, man. And honestly, I think West Ham will really, really struggle to keep this guy at the club past this season. He had this run in the second half, right, where he ends up smashing it against the basically the side of the bar and the post. But I think Kudus, man, every single time I watch him for West Ham, I'm thinking, how the hell, first of all, did West Ham get him last season? And I remember at one point it looked like he was going to go to Brighton. And how the hell did we have Ajax's former manager at Man United, and he has brought so many post-Ajax players. He even spent 85 million on an Ajax winger, and none of those players are named Mohamed Kudus. It's baffling. Because this guy, he is as clear for me a Champions League level player, and a damn good one at that I can see in this league. Incredible player, man. So I think West Ham in the second half were actually much improved. And I think this year, man, I think they'll be a better team than they were last season. No disrespect to David Moyes. I think he took them to incredible heights, but I think he was also reaching a ceiling with that team. And I look at the business they've done, and I look at a few of those signings, and I look at the quality they already had with Lopetegui. I think West Ham will do well this year. I'm not sure how well they can do because this is a very, very competitive league, but they impressed me. But unfortunately, they just came up against the best team in the world. Thoughts on KDB playing deeper this season? Yes, I like it so far. Yeah, he looks good, man. I mean, with KDB, we know his quality, bro. For me, there's nothing really too much to say about KDB. I'm just looking at City, right? And the amount of ways they can hurt you, right? And I think all 3 goals that they scored today, which obviously they all come from Haaland, kind of shows you the versatility that the City team has. They can kill you by 1,000 passes. Death by 1,000 passes, they can do that. Quick, intricate play around the box that leads to Haaland basically putting it into the roof of the net. They can do that too. Killing you in transition as well. They can do that too. In Erling Haaland, the guy allows you to break down defenses in so many different ways. Because of his gravity, because of how feared he is by defenders, because of his ability in transition, running the last line. That goal that we see that Mateus Nunes plays to him, that for me is actually where you see Haaland at his best. And I actually think for his own sake, it's a bit of a shame that City don't really get as many opportunities to play that way because of naturally the manner in which teams defend against them. They defend deeper. So you don't really get to see Erling Haaland playing on the last line, being sent through in transition because truthfully, chat, that's when he's at his best. The guy on the counterattack is one of the top 2 players in the world, I would say, in transition. And you don't even get to see it that much, and he still scores this many goals. But in my opinion, this team, what makes the City team so devastating, right? For me, like I always say, the best City team that I ever saw was 18-19. I just look at the amount of depth that they had in midfield. Gundogan, David Silva, Bernardo, Kevin De Bruyne, who missed so much time through injury as well too. Fernandinho. In attack, Riyad Mahrez, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero. They had so many options. But I think, first of all, defensively, in my opinion, they weren't as good as this team. They weren't as solid as this team. You could get at them. And I think also, that team couldn't hurt you in as many ways as this one could. They would kill you in one way. Oh man, if you let them rack up 90% possession, you're dead. But this team, I just feel like they're a bit more versatile. They aren't as brilliant as that one, in my opinion. I think that team is probably the best team I've seen in Premier League history. And I've seen some good ones, but I think that's the best one. But in terms of versatility, I think this is the most versatile version of City that we've seen. And I think, too, when you talk about Erling Haaland, right, obviously the goals, for me, I say it all the time. I think he'd score 20, 25 at any team in the league. Genuinely, you could put out Ipswich. I think he's scoring 20 to 25. He's that good of a goal scorer. But I think you look at him today, right? I think he plays a perfect center forward game. And that's been something that I've often criticized Haaland for. If you are to kind of pick at his game in any kind of way, it's like his overall game. How complete is he as a center forward? But I thought today was a really good demonstration that side of his game is actually improving. His back to play goal, his back to play game, his ability to link up. I think it looked good today, man. I think it looked good, and that's the scariest thing for any team in the world, honestly. If Erling Haaland develops that side of his game to an elite standard, to the level that his goal-scoring prowess already is at, how do you stop a guy like that? Come on, chat. How do you stop a guy like that? And let me say this as well, too, about Erling Haaland, right? Don't think, just because I haven't spoken about it yet, that I'm not paying attention to what's happening over in Madrid. Right now with Real Madrid, I'm observing. I'm just watching. I'm very patient right now. Because for me, I understand it's going to have to take time for all parties to kind of gel. You're changing the way you want to play. But first of all, let me just say this. And if you want to know where I stand, I've always been an Mbappe guy over Erling Haaland. So don't come in my mentions or in my chat or in my YouTube comments talking about you have an Mbappe agenda. If I had to pick between Mbappe and Haaland, you look at my tweets, my history the last 5 years, I've been an Mbappe guy. But first of all, when Erling Haaland came to the Premier League, there was no settling in period. The guy came, immediately wreaked havoc, the rest is history. That hasn't been the case with Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid. And second of all, I'm watching Kylian Mbappe at Real Madrid, and I'm watching Erling Haaland at Manchester City, and I hope Mbappe is doing similar. Because genuinely, it should bug you watching Erling Haaland right now, if you're Kylian Mbappe. If I'm Kylian Mbappe, my blood is boiling watching Erling Haaland right now. It's boiling because this whole conversation that you've been at PSG and you haven't had the supporting cast and this and that, and you're such a better player than Erling Haaland. I've been one of the people saying that, but those excuses don't exist anymore. I'm waiting patiently at the moment because I understand there's a betting in process going on at Real Madrid. You're trying to figure it out. You have like 6 players who like to occupy off the left. But I'm sorry. If I'm Kylian Mbappe, my blood is boiling watching what's happening at City. Because right now, that guy, Erling Haaland, if this is a rivalry, he's wiping the floor this season. He's got 7 goals in his first 3 league games. Mbappe has 0. And let's not even get started on the performances. But like I said, I'm being patient at the moment. I understand Real Madrid, it's a work in progress. I'm not going to be the guy that says, oh, this season's a failure, it's never going to work. I'm waiting. But don't think for a second that I'm not paying attention. I'm just observing at the moment. What's to talk about Rico Lewis? I think he played well again, man. I think he played well again. For me, Rico Lewis, there's not much to talk about. Honestly, I've said it so many times already. One of the most underrated players to come out of City's academy. So many guys get the plaudits every single season, whether it's Cole Palmer, whether it's Phil Foden, whether it's now Oscar Bob, but Rico Lewis, tidy, very intelligent player. And I think this is the year that he, I don't know, what's the word? Takes over from Kyle Walker, takes the mantle. And he's a different player to Kyle Walker entirely, but that kind of right-sided role, and he's adding a new dimension to it by this inverting thing that he's doing. For me, a very, very good player, and I think his call-up to the England team was massively deserved, man. By the way, Erling Haaland, I think the statistic I read today, since he's joined the Premier League, is that he scored 6 goals less than Everton on his own. If that's the stat, that's insane. Erling Haaland is now only 6 goals behind Everton since he came to the Premier League. 70 and 69. Chat, the Premier League has never seen a goal scorer like this.